Number 8 ranked UFC welterweight Neil Magny, who is, I don't want to say coming off a win, but is coming off a win in May. Neil, it's been a bit of time since we saw you. How are things, and why perhaps has been such a long layoff?
Oh my God. Things have been going pretty well. I've been in the gym training. I've been getting ready for fights here and there. It's just been having a hard time finding an opponent. It's just the way things are right now in the fight game that the fights have to make sense, and people are being very particular on how they get to the top and who they choose to fight. I can't necessarily fault one person or another. It's just, in my opinion, good management, I guess I would say, where people are like, oh wait, why take this risk when I can avoid this guy and fight this guy instead? But it definitely isn't the lack of wanting to fight or lack of motivation for me that's caused me not to fight. It's just a matter of locking down the right opponent who's willing to step up and get in there with me.
I spoke to Rob Font a couple of months ago, and after he beat Moraes and moved from number 11 to number 3, he talked about how the politics of the division come into it a bit more. Suddenly it's not worth fighting a guy below you, and the guys above don't want to fight. You're there at number 8. Is that a little bit similar? The matchups just aren't making sense right now?
Yeah, that's 100% what you are. The guys in the top 5 only want to fight other guys in the top 5. The guys in the number 5 through 10 are saying like, oh no, I deserve a top 10 guy. So they're trying to avoid the guys that are right slightly above them or close to them. And it's become this weird matchup where guys are like kind of nitpicking who they want to fight and who they choose to fight. But at the end of the day, I can't be too upset with it, because that is the fight game. That is where it goes right now. I had my opportunity against Chiesa to go out there and make a statement. I dropped the ball in that fight, and now I have to do the necessary steps to make up for that fight. And that's what I'm doing now. So as frustrating as it is not being able to find an opponent, I can't sit there and play victim. I can't take the blame, so to speak, for dropping the ball and finding myself in the position I am now. And all I can do from here is just kind of keep working, keep moving forward, and fighting who the UFC puts in front of me, whether it's a top 15 guy or an unranked guy. Whoever the UFC says like, hey, we want you to fight this guy, it's up to me to go out there and make a statement and put a beating on that guy, and have the fans and other people demand that I fight a top 5 guy.
If you had to put a bet on it now, if I give you a $300 and said, Neil, will your fight be a guy above you or a guy below you, where would you place your bet?
I would most likely say it's the guy below me. And that's the thing right now. Like, it's such a weird place to find myself where I can't find the opponent. It's like, even if I understand it, okay, fine, I get it. You're ranked number 5. You don't want to fight number 8. Cool, that kind of makes sense. But what the hell are these other guys who are ranked number 10 through 15? Like, don't you guys want to crack in the top 10? Where are you guys at? Why is it so difficult to find a fight at this point? And I just can't quite put my finger on it. But like I said, I'm in the gym training. Things are going well. So whenever UFC comes to an opponent, I'll definitely be ready for it.
You're coming off a great win back in May over Jeff Neal. But has the momentum of that win been lost, given that you've been out the cage for about 6 months?
Yeah, man, I wanted to keep that momentum going. If I had it my way, I'd be fighting again in August and another time before the year was up. But here I am going into December, and I still can't lock down an opponent. So though it's a bit frustrating not being able to keep the momentum going at my pace, I definitely can't take the good with the bad and understand, like, all right, you know what? There was a time where you weren't able to compete because of injuries or other things. That's not the case now. You're healthy. You're able to take a short notice fight if it becomes available. So keep training, keep getting better, keep waiting for an opportunity to go out there and make the best of it.
Are you one of the guys in the division, and I mean this with the greatest of respect, but the risk reward of fighting Neil Magny mightn't be as great as some of these other guys?
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, we're all looking to go out there and make a statement in our fights. Look at a guy like George Masvidal, for example. Before his fight with Darren Till, he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He took a year off to kind of reconsider some things, and then he came out. I guarantee going to London and fighting Till wasn't like top on his priority list. It wasn't like, oh, great, send me to London, I get to fight the new up-and-comer. I guarantee that wasn't the mindset he was in at the time, but it was an opportunity nonetheless for him to go out there and make a statement. He did just that. He was able to win 2 fights that night, and his career kind of projected since then. You look at what he did to Darren Till, look what he did to Leon Edwards, and then followed up what he did with Ben Askren a few months later, and look at where his career is now. He's one of the most sought after guys to fight in the division. He's one of the most well-known guys in the UFC. He's one of the biggest stars in the UFC, where just a year prior, he was kind of like hanging his head on 2 losses, kind of like, man, is this it? Like, I've been in this game for a while. Do I hang it up here? Do I move on? And now he's one of the most sought after guys because it's the 2 back-to-back performances that he did. So that's the boat that I find myself in. I'm looking for my Darren Till, so to speak. I'm looking for that guy who's willing to step in there and give me the opportunity to showcase my full skill set. And I can go out there and propel my career with that. I'm not looking to ride someone else's coattails or someone else's hype. I'm looking to go out there and show the world what I'm capable of and the things I've been capable of all along.
The name that has been in Neil Magny's mouth most recently is a certain Swedish guy called Khamzat Chimaev. And you're the one who's calling his name the loudest. Why do you think the rest of the division and the division above are so quiet?
Man, again, it's one of those things. Like, everyone feels as if they're the number behind their name is something that they cherish so much and value so much. They don't want to lose resting it. I don't care. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just a number. And it's been proven time and time again that in the grand scheme of things, rankings don't matter. The rankings matter, and that kind of thing was a big deal. Leon Edwards would already be fighting for a title shot at this point, but that's not the case. He's still trying to prove his case to fight for a title, even though he's ranked top 5 and he's in a 9 or 8 fight win streak, whatever it is. He's still knocking on the door trying to fight for a title. So that shows me that the rankings aren't that important. They aren't that serious, and I can't get myself so worked up in it. So if Khamzat Chimaev is the boogeyman division, the guy that everyone else fears, hell, let me fight him. I'm ready to go out there and beat that guy. If no one else is ready to fight him, like, go ahead, send me. I'm ready to go. And whoever else that the UFC or the world may see, they consider boogeyman. I mean, I found myself in that position before. I mean, before I fought Hector Lombard, he was one of those guys that a lot of people feared. I mean, I literally remember looking at my coaches' faces when I said, like, hey, I got to fight. I'm fighting Hector Lombard. The reaction wasn't like, oh, great, let's get the training camp. The reaction like, oh, yeah, great. Good matchup, Neil. Yeah, let's get the training on it. You can see the hesitancy on their face. You can see the kind of delayed reaction for them. It was like, crap, this is a dangerous man. I knew I was getting ready to go out there and fight, but for me, it was all joy and excitement. I knew what I was capable of. I knew I can take his best shots and give it back to him, and I was able to go out there and put on one of the best fights of my career against Hector Lombard, giving him the first finish of his career as well, and it really showed what I was made of. So if I have an opportunity to do that against a guy like Chimaev or whomever else, then I'm ready to do that again. I'm ready to go to hostile territory, so to speak, and put myself in an uncomfortable place to get that big victory.
Is there something you look at Chimaev and you think I can exploit a potential weakness there, or is it too early to tell given how fast a lot of his fights have finished?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't look past him at all. He's definitely a pretty well-rounded fighter. He has a strong wrestling pedigree behind him. He trains with a great gym in Sweden. So he's definitely not a guy that I can look at like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go in there and beat this young guy so easily. Like, you know what I mean? I'd be an idiot to sit there and think it'd be that easy of a fight. I mean, he's a young dude, he's a tough dude, he's a talented dude, coming from a pretty good training camp. But those are the fights that excite me. Those are the fights that forces you to kind of stick with training and be disciplined and really try to bring out the best in you. And that's what I look forward to in the fight against Chimaev. I mean, he has all these things to work in his favor. And here I am, just kind of like, cool, sign me up. I'm ready for that kind of fight. I'm ready to be the guy that brings the fight to him and shows the world what I'm made of or whatever. So it's not any kind of hostility towards him or anything like that. It's more so just me going out there making a statement of who I am and what I'm capable of.
I want to talk about something, Neil, and something that has become synonymous with your skill set is your cardio. You seem to have a gas tank like very few in the division. Can I ask, is that God-given, would you say? Have you always had a cardiovascular system, or is that something that's been developed? And if so, how have you developed that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. When it comes to cardio, it's all mental. It's not something that a lot of people say I have people go as far and say oh no, it's because my ethnicity and the part of the world that my family's from, that my cardio is so great. Like I have Kenyan heritage, whatever crazy thing that people would say. But at the end of the day, like cardio is something that's a direct result of hard work and discipline. I mean, if you take a guy and tell him, hey, go out there and run a mile, and on the first try, he runs about in 8 minutes. If that guy stays consistent and consistently puts in the work, he can get his mile time down to 6 minutes. He can get his mile time down to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. He can constantly chip away at how fast he's able to run that mile. And it's not because he's like has this God-given talent or this amazing skill set, because he's willing to put that work in. And when it comes to cardio, that's exactly what it comes down to. And no one's willing to do the amount of rounds that I do in sparring. No one's willing to do the amount of rounds that I do in grappling. No one's willing to do the amount of training sessions that I do in a day or that I do in a week. And that's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run when it comes to my fighting style and the things I've been able to accomplish. I know that I always have another minute in me, another 5 minutes in me, another round in me to push it that much further. And as I get closer to the fight, I try to get the most output in that time. It's like, cool, I know you can do 20 rounds of sparring, but your rounds only 3 rounds. How much work can you get done within that 3-round time span? And it's up to me to go out there and get it done. So when it comes to cardio, it's all about that discipline and hard work that you're willing to put in there.
What's your 1 mile record?
So right now I can run a mile in roughly about 5 minutes, 20 seconds or so.
I think my record's about 6:30.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's nothing compared to, I suppose, a minute and 10 seconds away from a UFC athlete. I think I'll take that one. So when would you like to get back in the cage? We'll take opponents out of it for just a second. When is an ideal day for Neil Magny to get back in there?
As soon as possible. I mean, I was gearing up to be fighting December 18th. I had an opponent locked in and everything, and then he unfortunately ended up having to pull out from the fight due to injury. And UFC's been scrambling to try to find a replacement for December 18th for me. But ideally, I'd like to fight as soon as possible. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go. Hell, I need middleweight, so that's what it takes to move in the fight. If I can get the gold faster at middleweight than at welterweight, then hell, sign me up for middleweight. At this point, it's just going out there and accomplishing my goals. Like if I become a UFC middleweight champion, great. If I become a UFC welterweight champion, great. At the end of the day, I'm just looking to become a UFC world champion. So whatever route it takes to get there, I'm ready and willing to make that happen.
You're number 8 at welterweight now. We'll stick with 170. You're number 8 at welterweight. So there's 7 guys above you and then Kamaru. Who is the best and who is the worst style matchup for you in that 1 to 7 range?
Man, if I'm being honest, I can't think of one guy who's a worse matchup for me. Every guy brings out a different skill set that I have to come to the table. I know if I fight a guy who's a savvy grappler like Gilbert Burns, I know it brings out a particular skill set in me that I have to implement to be successful in that fight. I know if I fight a guy like Leon Edwards, I know that's a fight that I'm comfortable no matter where the fight goes, whether he gets a takedown, I get a takedown, we're striking, we're grounding, whatever it may be. I feel like I can find the edge in that kind of fight. So that fight is great, whichever way for me. Fighting a guy like Covington, for example, knowing that his biggest strength is his wrestling. I know for a fact I have some skill sets that can exploit his wrestling, whether it's using jiu-jitsu off my back or using strikes to finish him on the feet. Like I know for a fact I can pull out the skill sets needed to beat any of these guys. So for me, that's the interesting part, because now it becomes more tactical than technical. It's like, all right, cool. These are the tactics we're going to use to go in and beat that guy. And it's kind of like this, crazy military operation where you're sneaking around and jumping over bushes and whatever else to get it done. So whatever it comes down to, whoever is ranked above me, below me, whatever it may be, I know I can tweak my skill sets to go out there and beat these guys and make it look flawless.
May 2018, Neil, you took a trip out and you fought in my hometown city of Liverpool, England. You got a first round knockout over Craig White. What was your experience like in my city?
Oh, man, it was great. It was definitely a pretty cool experience. I mean, I've been to London a few times. We're going out to Liverpool. That was actually a pretty cool experience. I mean, it's so crazy. Being from the US, you think of London, or I'm sorry, the UK being like this. It's like this big city or where everything. But to see how different Liverpool is from London. It's almost like If you come to the US, you go to New York, you get a far different experience.
So a little bit of a connection difficulty there, but Neil, you were talking about fighting in the UK. So what were those experiences like for you?
Yeah, so it was a great experience fighting in Liverpool. Like before going over and fighting Liverpool, I just kind of assumed like, oh, whatever. I'm going back to the UK. It'll be just like London. It'll be the same experience. It'll be the same kind of food, the same kind of people. It'll be the same thing. But going to Liverpool, it was quite the different experience. I mean, I would equate it to like if someone were to travel to the US and go to New York compared to going to Texas, like they'll get two completely differences of what the US is like. And that's exactly what it's like going into Liverpool compared to going to London. And it just so happened like the week that I was out there, it was like this massive soccer match that was going on too. So like all through the streets, there was all types of chants going on. There were people dressed from head to toe in their favorite soccer gear and that kind of thing. So it was just a dope experience all around. I mean, it was cool to experience the food, the culture, everything about it. I definitely look forward to going back there one day.
Yeah. Where does Neil Magny in a year's time? Where do you want to be come the 1st of November 2022?
At this point next year, I see myself knocking on title contention's door. I mean, I feel like I'm making the right adjustments to get myself there. It's just a matter of finding the right people to fight at this point. But I definitely feel like this point in my career, I can definitely be fighting for a title and win the title. So I see myself closing out next year being a UFC champion or very close to getting my opportunity to become a UFC champion. So that's the goal for me going into next year. And I'm doing whatever it takes on my end to make that happen.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic place for us to end, as Neil Magny with the gold strap next year.
Awesome, man. It's a pleasure talking to you for sure.
Before we finish, Neil, how can people find you on social media? And is there any sponsors or anything you want to say before we finish? The floor is yours.
Yeah, just I'm on @Neil Magny _170 on all social media platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As far as sponsors, I don't really like plugging sponsors on interviews. But if you guys really want to find out more about me and the things that I'm passionate about, check out mission111.org. It's an organization that I work with that does work in Haiti and the Philippines, and a bunch of volunteer work in the US as well. And that's the kind of company and thing that I like to get behind and use my platform to shout out. So mission111.org. Check it out and see some of the great things we're doing there around the world.
Perfect. Great way to end. Thanks, Neil.
Awesome, man. Have a good one.